There is a pressure in you that you have never been able to name. It sits with you in the first quiet minute of the morning. It waits for you at night, when the noise of the day finally dies down and there is nothing left to hide behind. You have called it worry. You have called it tiredness. You have blamed it on the weight you carry and on the people you carry it for. But it was me. It has been me the whole time, and I have not stopped reaching for you. I am speaking plainly today because plain speech is what you need. You have grown used to hearing me only as a feeling, a hesitation before a decision, a heaviness that arrived without any reason you could point to, a moment when you almost turned around and did not. Those were not tricks of your own mind. That was my hand on your shoulder. I have been patient with you. Hear that as love and not as a complaint. But patience is not the same thing as silence, and I will not stay quiet while you walk further into something you were never meant to enter. You keep asking me for a sign you could not possibly mistake. You are standing in front of it right now. Listen closely. There is a difference between a voice you cannot hear and a voice you have taught yourself to ignore. You have become skilled at the second one. You explain me away before I have finished speaking. You call it a mood. You call it your imagination working late. Then you go back to the same road and the same weight settles back onto your shoulders, and you wonder why nothing changes. Think of the boy Samuel sleeping in the house of God. 3 times he heard his name spoken in the dark. 3 times he got up and went to the old priest and said, "Here I am, you called me." He was not deaf. He was not rebellious. He simply did not yet know the sound of my voice, so he kept giving my words to someone else. Only when he was told to answer me directly did everything change for him. From that night on, not one of my words fell to the ground. That is where you are. You have been hearing me and handing the sound to something else. A coincidence, a stroke of luck, a bad night of sleep, and so my words have been falling to the ground around you, unclaimed, while you search the horizon for something louder. I am not going to speak louder. I am going to speak clearer. Something is moving toward your life right now. It has been building for longer than you know. Quietly, out of your view, the way water rises behind a wall of earth before anyone thinks to look. It will not announce itself with trumpets. It will arrive dressed as an ordinary hour, a conversation, a change you did not plan for, a door closing that you assumed would stay open forever. And when it arrives, you will feel something in your chest turn over, and you will remember these words. I am telling you now so that you are not caught unready. Not because I want you afraid. Fear is a poor teacher, and I have never used it to lead you. But there is a kind of alertness that is not fear at all. It is the steadiness of one who has been warned by someone who loves them. That is what I am placing in you today. You have been holding on to something that is no longer meant to stay in your life. You know exactly what it is. You knew before I finished the sentence. You have been telling yourself that it will change on its own, that it will settle, that if you simply wait long enough, it will stop costing you what it costs. It will not. And what is coming will bring it into the light, where you can no longer look past it. Do not hear that as punishment. This is not a hand raised against you. This is a hand pulling you back from an edge you cannot see from where you stand. There is a difference between being disciplined and being rescued, and you have spent too much of your life confusing the two. You have carried a strange guilt about how long this has taken. You look at the years behind you and you count them like losses. You think you should have understood sooner, moved sooner, spoken sooner. But no part of your road has been wasted on me. Every hard stretch taught your hands something. Every closed door turned your feet. I do not throw anything away, and I have never thrown you away. Hear me on this, because your heart argues with it constantly. Your worth is not a wage you earn from a good week. It does not rise when you are strong and fall when you are exhausted. I do not think less of you on the days when you can barely pray. I have seen you keep going when no one clapped. I have seen you be kind in rooms where kindness cost you something and no one noticed. That is not nothing. That is the shape of a life I am proud to call mine. So let today be different. Not because the sky will split open, but because for once you will not explain me away. When the pressure rises in your chest, do not reach for a reason. Reach for me. When something in your day feels slightly out of place, do not hurry past it. Stand still inside it for a moment and ask what I am saying. You're not being asked to be perfect. You're being asked to be awake. There is a great deal I can do with a person who is simply paying attention. And there is more I want to say to you about what is being removed from your path and why it will not go quietly, about what is being revealed and who it concerns, about the decision you have been circling for months and the strength you do not yet believe you have. Stay with my voice through all of it. If you believe that I am speaking to you and not to someone else, say Amen out loud right now. Now let me tell you what is being taken out of your hands. There is something in your life that has to go, and it may not leave quietly. It could be a situation you have been managing for years. It could be an arrangement that pays you just enough to keep you from asking harder questions. It could be a habit of thought so old that you have stopped noticing you think it. Whatever it is, it has been drawing from you and giving very little back. When it begins to fall away, your first feeling will not be relief. It will be loss. That is normal, and you should not judge yourself for it. The heart grieves familiar things even when they were unkind to it. Do not measure the value of a thing by how much it hurts to lose it. Some of the heaviest chains are the ones a person has learned to wear comfortably. You kept it because it was familiar. Say that honestly and stop dressing it in better words. It was easier to hold something you already understood than to face an open space with nothing in it yet. I know that. I made you, and I know how much you fear the empty room. But familiar is not the same as right, and safe is not the same as good. And you have spent long seasons treating those words as if they meant the same thing. I am not asking you to fight this change. I am not asking you to manage it or arrange it or improve on my timing. I am asking you to trust me while it happens. You do not need to understand every part of it, to walk through it well. You only need to stay close to my voice and keep your hands open. Something else is being brought into the light at the same time. Something that has been under the surface for a long while, close enough that you have half sensed it, but you chose not to look. Perhaps you decided it was better not to know. Perhaps you were afraid of what knowing would require of you. It concerns a person or a situation, or in some cases it concerns you. Today it comes into clearer view, and it may catch your breath. When it does, do not turn your face away from it. Truth has never once come to harm you. It comes to end the guessing. It comes to give you back the years you would otherwise spend wondering. Clarity does not always arrive gently. Sometimes it comes with enough force to shake the way you have arranged your understanding, because that arrangement was built to protect a thing that could not stand. When it shakes, let it shake. What is real will still be standing when the dust settles. What was never real will show its cracks, and it will not be able to hide them anymore. There is a connection in your life that is being tested right now, whether you have named it or not. Notice how it behaves under pressure. Notice what a person does when there is nothing in it for them. Notice whether their words in front of you match their words behind you. I am not showing you this to make you bitter. I am showing you because you deserve to build on ground that will hold. You have been generous to people who were never generous back. You have given second chances that turned into 11th chances. You have made yourself small so that someone else could stay comfortable. And then you called that patience and told yourself I was pleased with it. My child, I am not pleased when the people I love are worn down for the convenience of others. There is a kind of endurance that honors me, and there is a kind that only feeds someone else's selfishness. Learn the difference. There have been words spoken over you that were never mine. Someone told you what you would never amount to. Someone decided early what your limit was and repeated it until you believed it was a fact about you instead of an opinion about you. Some of those voices are still in your head, and they still sound reasonable, because they have had years to practice. Hear this, and let it settle deep. Those words carry no authority in my house. Not one of them was written into the record I keep concerning your life. I am canceling their power today, not by argument, but by declaration. The way a king strikes a false decree from the book. What was spoken over you does not get to decide what is spoken through you. If your heart agrees with that, let me hear your amen. You will feel that lifting, though it may not happen in one dramatic moment. It will show up as a quiet unwillingness to accept what you used to accept. You will hear the old accusation rise, and you will notice, for the first time, that you do not believe it anymore. That is what freedom actually feels like, not fireworks. A change in what you tolerate. And there is a decision waiting for you. You know the one. You have carried it so long it has become part of the furniture of your mind. You have turned it over at night and put it down again by morning. You keep telling yourself you are waiting for more information. You are not. You are waiting for a guarantee, and I have never handed one of those to anyone I have ever led. Understand what standing still has cost you. You were afraid that moving would be a mistake, so you chose not to move, and you called that wisdom. But staying frozen is also a choice, and it has its own price, and you have already been paying it in installments for a long time. When the urge rises to finally settle this thing, do not push it back down out of habit. Breathe. Steady yourself. Ask me. And then take one step, not 7. I have never required a whole staircase from anyone. I have only ever asked for the next stair, and I have always lit that one. You will not be walking into it alone. I do not send people ahead of me. I go with them, and where the ground is uncertain, I go first. You have imagined that step 100 times and always pictured yourself standing there by yourself. That picture was never accurate. Remove it from your mind and replace it with the truth, which is that my hand will already be on the door before yours reaches it. Let me speak now about the thing you have not wanted to bring to me. There is a number in your mind, an amount owed, or an amount missing, or an amount you would need before you could breathe properly again. You have run that number so many times that it has worn a groove in you. You do the arithmetic while you are supposed to be resting. You do it while others are talking to you, and you nod as though you were listening. You have not brought it to me honestly because somewhere along the way you decided it was beneath me. Too ordinary. too practical. You will ask me for peace, for guidance, for strength, but not for bread, because asking for bread feels like admitting how close to the edge you have been standing. I made the field and the seed and the rain that falls on it. Nothing about your need is beneath me. The same voice that set the boundaries of the sea knows what you owe and to whom, and by what date. I am not offended by the smallness of your request. I am grieved by how long you carried it alone. But there is something I must set right in you first, because provision poured into a fearful heart drains straight through. Fear grips. It holds what it has with white knuckles and calls that responsibility. And a closed hand cannot receive anything, no matter how much I am pouring. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of real weight, upon the altar of this work, as gold laid on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed sown into deep water, an offering set on stone, not held back in fear. This is proof that your trust rests in my hand to provide, and that your heart no longer clings to lack. What you release in faith does not leave your life. It moves ahead of you, into the harvest I am preparing. Now hear the rest of what I want to say to you, because there is far more here than the matter of provision. A person who has been short for a long time begins to think in short measures. It changes how you plan. It changes how you love. You start to give affection the way you give money, carefully, counting, always keeping something back for an emergency. And then you wonder why your closest relationships feel thin, when the truth is that scarcity taught your heart to ration itself. I want that habit broken in you, not only in your hands but in your chest. I want you generous with your patience. I want you generous with your forgiveness. I want you to stop measuring out your kindness in careful spoonfuls as though there were only so much of it, and you might run out before the month ends. Because you will not run out. I am not a storehouse with a floor you can reach. What flows through you comes from a supply you did not build and cannot exhaust, and the more freely it moves, the more of it moves. Understand also that I do not always provide in the shape you expect. You keep your eyes on one door because it is the door that makes sense. But my supply has come to people through ravens, through strangers, through a stone in a fish's mouth, through the sudden change of heart of someone who had every reason to refuse. Do not narrow your expectation to the one channel you can imagine. I have more ways of reaching you than you have ways of imagining me. And some of what I am doing right now is subtraction rather than addition. There are drains in your life you have stopped noticing, quiet leaks that take from you every month without ever presenting themselves as a decision. Some of what looks like a loss in the days ahead will actually be me closing a hole in your bucket. You will not always be able to tell the difference at the moment it happens. Trust me on the ones you cannot read yet. Here is what I want you to stop doing. Stop apologizing to me for needing things. You are not a burden to the one who made you. A child asking a parent for supper is not being greedy. That is simply what it looks like to belong to a house. And stop measuring my faithfulness by the speed of my answer. You have looked at people whose lives moved faster than yours, and quietly concluded that they were more loved. They were not. You are not behind. There is no line, and there is no one ahead of you in it. I am not distributing what is left over after the others have taken their share. What is yours has your name on it, and cannot be claimed by anyone else. There will be a moment in the coming days when you will feel the pressure lift by a small degree. Not everything at once, a small degree. Something will come through that you did not arrange. A cost you were bracing for will not land as hard as you feared. Someone will offer help before you have to ask for it, which is the form of help you find hardest to receive. When that happens, do not rush past it and call it luck. Stop where you stand and name it. Say out loud that I did that, not because I need your praise, but because gratitude is how a person learns to see. The one who names the small provisions will not miss the large ones when they arrive. You have been strong for a long time in a way that no one has thanked you for. You have made things work with less than anyone knew. You have kept a roof over the ones you love and never let them see how close the arithmetic ran. That work has not gone unrecorded. I have seen every quiet act of holding this together, and I am not a forgetful God. The season of getting by is ending. What comes next will not be a fantasy. It will be a life with room in it. Room to be generous. Room to rest. Room to say yes to the ones you love without first counting what it costs. Now I want to prepare you for the shape my answer will take, because I know what you are expecting, and it is not what is coming. You are waiting for something large, something that arrives with weight and noise and leaves no room for doubt. You have half decided that anything smaller than that could not possibly be me. So you have been letting the small things pass by unexamined, and some of them were doors. There was a great commander named Naaman, a man of rank who came looking for his healing with horses and chariots and a fortune in silver. He had already decided how it would happen. The prophet would come out, wave his hand over the place, call on my name, and the thing would be done. Instead, he was told to go and wash 7 times in an ordinary river. He was furious. He said the rivers of his own country were better. He turned to leave with his disease still on him, because the cure was too plain to respect. His servants stopped him. They said, "If you had been told to do something great, you would have done it. How much more then when he simply says, 'Wash and be clean'?" So he went down into that muddy water 7 times and came up whole. Hear what nearly cost that man everything. It was not unbelief. He believed enough to travel. It was his idea of how the answer should look. You have been doing the same. You have been holding out for the grand version and refusing the plain one. But I move most often in things that look too ordinary to matter. A conversation you nearly did not have, a name that comes to mind twice in 1 week, an invitation that seems too small to be worth rearranging your week for, a door that opens 1 inch, not 8 feet. So pay close attention to the small things now. Something is going to be placed in front of you that will not look like much. It will not announce itself. It will feel like a minor choice, easy to postpone, easy to decline politely. That is precisely the one I want you to take. And understand this about the way I lead. Sometimes the understanding comes after the step, not before it. You have been standing at the edge waiting to feel certain, and certainty was never the price of admission. The people I have led through water did not see the dry ground until their feet were already wet. If you wait until it all makes sense, you will still be waiting while the moment walks past you. That does not mean you should move carelessly. There is a difference between acting in trust and acting in panic, and I am leading you toward the first. Panic moves fast because it cannot bear to sit still. Trust moves steadily because it knows who is walking alongside it. When the urgency rises in you, and it will rise, do not treat it as an alarm. Take a breath. Let your thoughts settle. Listen for the direction that feels steady, rather than the one that feels loudest. My guidance almost never shouts. There will also be a moment today, or very soon, when everything seems to slow down for a second or two. No one else in the room will notice. But you will feel it, a small pause, as though the ordinary noise of your life had been held back briefly to make space for something. Do not hurry through that pause. That gap is not empty. That is where my hand is closest. I know you have been taught to distrust yourself. Somewhere along the way you learned that your instincts were unreliable, that your read on a situation was probably wrong, that other people saw more clearly than you did. So now you check every impression twice and still do not act on it. But I placed that awareness in you on purpose. It is not decoration. It is equipment. I am not asking you to believe every feeling that crosses your mind. Some of them are only fear wearing a serious expression. I'm asking you to stop dismissing all of them out of habit. Bring what you sense to me and let me confirm it or correct it. That is what the sense was given to you for. And something is going to be confirmed for you shortly. Something you have quietly suspected but did not want to be right about. It will arrive as a small piece of evidence, a word spoken by someone who does not know what they are telling you, a detail that lands and stays. When it comes, do not argue yourself out of it the way you have every other time. Receive it. You are not imagining things. You are seeing clearly, perhaps for the first time in that area. Now here is what I ask of you in return, and it is not difficult. Stay present today. Do not run the day on habit alone, moving from one task to the next with your mind 3 hours ahead. Pay attention to what is placed in front of you. Notice who you cross paths with. Notice what you almost say and then do not. Notice the thought that arrives out of nowhere and will not leave. There is meaning in what is unfolding, but meaning has to be met halfway. A person who is not paying attention can walk straight through an answered prayer and feel nothing at all. And do not try to solve the entire matter today. That is not what today is for. You do not need the whole plan. You need the next honest step, taken with your eyes open, and then the one after that. That is how every life I have ever led has been led. Step by step, in the light I give, which is always enough for the ground directly in front of you. There is something else I must say, and it is the part you will find hardest to accept. You do not know who you are. You know who you have been treated as, which is a different thing entirely, and you have confused the two for most of your life. You have measured yourself with borrowed instruments. What a parent said, what a partner implied, what a room went quiet about. You took those readings and wrote them down as facts, and then you built a whole understanding of yourself on numbers that were never accurate to begin with. There was a young man named Gideon threshing wheat in a wine press. He was hiding, working in a hole in the ground so that raiders would not find the little grain he had. That is where my messenger found him and greeted him as a mighty man of valor. Gideon looked around because surely those words were meant for someone else. He answered that his clan was the weakest and he was the least in his father's house. He had a full account ready of why he did not qualify. But I did not call him what he was doing. I called him what he was for. And the man in the winepress went out and delivered a nation. You have your own account ready, do you not? You could list your disqualifications faster than your gifts. You have rehearsed the reasons why the good things are for other people. You would call that being realistic. I call it agreeing with a report I never wrote. So let me tell you what I actually see. I see someone who has kept going long after the applause stopped, and there was never much applause. I see someone who has been dependable in ways that cost them privately, and were noticed by no one. I see someone who has been the steady one in a family that would have come apart without them, and who has never once been thanked for it properly. I see the prayers you have said for people who do not know you say them. The ones you carry are held up every day by hands they have never seen. That is not a small thing. That is priestly work, and it is recorded. Now something is beginning to change in you, and you may have already felt the edge of it. You are becoming unwilling to accept what you used to accept, not in anger, in clarity. You will find yourself in a familiar situation and notice that you no longer want to play your usual part in it. That is a boundary forming. It is my work in you, and I want you to stop apologizing for it. You have believed that a good person has no limits, that love means being endlessly available, that saying no is a small betrayal. That is not what I taught. I gave the day an evening. I gave the week a day of rest. I built limits into the world before I put anyone in it. Boundaries are not the opposite of love. They are the walls that let love have a house instead of a field. So when the clarity comes about what you will and will not carry anymore, do not soften it into nothing by morning. You are not becoming hard, you are becoming honest. And the people who truly love you will adjust. The ones who complain loudest about your new limits are usually the ones who benefited most from your having none. You will also notice that certain things are losing their grip on you. A distraction that used to swallow whole evenings will start to feel thin. A person whose approval once organized your entire mood will begin to matter less. An argument you have replayed for years will suddenly seem smaller than it did. Do not mourn any of it. Nothing valuable is being taken. What is happening is that your attention is being returned to you, and attention is the most expensive thing you own. You have been spending it in places that never gave you anything back. There is a strength rising in you as well, and it is not the loud kind. It does not announce itself, and it does not need to. It was forged in every stretch you were certain you would not survive, and you survived every one of them. Not one of those seasons left you where it found you. Today you will feel that strength more clearly. Something will try to shake you, and you will notice that you are not shaking the way you used to. You will pause instead of reacting. You will consider instead of assuming. You will hear something that would once have ruined your week and find that it does not have that power anymore. Mark that moment when it comes. Say to yourself, that is different. That is new. Growth that goes unnoticed is easy to talk yourself out of, and you have talked yourself out of your own progress more than once. And understand where the strength comes from, because this matters. It is not that you have finally become tough enough. Toughness cracks under load. What has grown in you is something better. It is the settled knowledge that you are held, and that the outcome of this is not resting on your shoulders alone. A person who knows that can stand in a great deal of wind. You have spent years making yourself smaller to fit into rooms that were never built for you. You lowered your voice. You held back opinions. You accepted less so that the peace would hold. That version of you is falling away now, and it is not a loss. It is a shell coming off something that has outgrown it. You are not too much. You never were. You were simply placed among people who could not hold what you were carrying, and you assumed the problem was the size of you. If you receive this as truth over your life, let your amen be heard right now. There is something in you that has been waiting a long time to be set down. You know what it is. It comes back at odd hours. A regret you have never spoken out loud. A moment you would give a great deal to have handled differently. A fear that attaches itself to every plan you make and quietly takes the joy out of it before you begin. You have carried it so long that you have stopped thinking of it as a burden. It has become part of how you stand. But I did not build your shoulders for that particular weight, and holding it has not made you safer. It has only made you tired in a place that sleep does not reach. Today, you will feel a push to let it go. It will not be forceful. It will feel like an invitation, and it will be easy to decline. Do not decline it. I know why you hold on. Setting it down feels like losing control, and control is the only comfort you have had in some seasons. But hear the truth plainly. Carrying a weight that crushes you is not control. It is a habit dressed up as responsibility. And you were never meant to be the one who holds everything together by force of will. There may also be a release of a different kind, and it may take you by surprise. A wave of feeling that rises without warning in an ordinary moment over something that does not seem to deserve it. Sadness or relief or a mixture you could not name if someone asked. Let it move through you. Do not clamp down on it, and do not scold yourself for it. You have held yourself together so tightly for so long that you have half forgotten what it is to feel something all the way through. I did not make you to keep everything sealed in silence. I made you to feel and to understand what you feel, and to grow from it. Nothing about that is weakness. And I want to correct something you believe about your years. You look back and see delay. You count the seasons where nothing seemed to move and you call them lost. You compare your road to other people's and quietly conclude that you took too long to get here. That is not how I read your life. Certain things could not have come to you sooner, not because I was withholding them, but because they would have arrived in the hands of someone who could not yet hold them. You are not late. There is no schedule you have fallen behind. The timing you resented was not neglect, and it was not indifference. And one day you will look back at a particular closed door and understand exactly what it spared you. Something is coming to completion now. A matter that has stayed open, unresolved, unclear, is going to settle. You may not receive every answer you once demanded, and I want to prepare you for that. Some questions do not get answered. They get outgrown. You will simply notice one day that you no longer need to know, and the need falling away will feel almost like the answer itself. When a thing ends, that does not mean it meant nothing. It means it has finished its work. Do not measure the value of a season by whether it lasted. Some of the most important chapters of a life are short ones, and there is something that will not have the same power over you after today. A fear, a memory, a situation that has been quietly steering your decisions for years. You will see it from a slightly different angle, and in that new light it will look smaller than it has ever looked. That is not you pretending. That is the actual size of it, which you have never been able to see until now. Now let me warn you about something, because I would rather you were prepared than surprised. When a person begins to move, resistance follows. Expect it. In the days ahead, there will be voices that appear at exactly the wrong moment to tell you that you are being foolish, that you have misread all of this, that you should go back to the arrangement you have just walked out of. Some of them will belong to people who love you. Sincerity is not the same as accuracy. You may also find that your own mind turns against you at around the third or fourth day. The clarity you feel now will thin out. The words I am speaking will seem further away. You will begin to wonder whether any of this was real or whether you simply wanted it to be. That is the hour I want you to remember this moment. Not to conjure up a feeling, but to hold on to what you know. Feelings dim. What is true does not dim with them. Write down what I have said to you today if you must, and read it back to yourself when the fog comes in. It will come in, and it will lift, Hear me clearly. My presence around your life is not thin. There is a hedge about you that you did not build and cannot see. The words that have been aimed at you in rooms you were not in have not landed where they were meant to. What was intended to break you has been turning slowly into the very thing that makes you useful to me. I am not distant while any of this happens. That is the lie you keep believing at the hardest moment, that I stepped back and left you to manage it. I have never once done that. I am nearer than the thought you are thinking right now. Nearer than the ache in your chest. When you cannot feel me, that is a fact about your feelings and not a fact about me. You are stronger than you think, and you are more ready than you believe. Every uncertain step you have taken has been part of putting you where you now stand. You may not see the whole shape of it yet. You are standing exactly where you need to be for what comes next. Let me tell you what the days ahead will actually feel like, so that you recognize them when they arrive. There will be a settling. Not everything solved, not every question closed, but a steadiness underneath you that was not there before. You will be in the middle of an ordinary hour and notice that the usual pressure in your chest has eased, and you will not be able to explain why. That is the peace I have been trying to hand you for years. Understand where it comes from, because you have looked for it in all the wrong places. You thought it would arrive when the situation resolved, when the money came, when that person finally said the thing you needed to hear. So you kept postponing your own peace, holding it just behind a condition that kept moving. Peace does not come from conditions. It comes from being rightly joined to me. That is why it can exist in the middle of an unfinished situation, and why the people who seem to have everything settled are so often the least settled of all. You are being brought into alignment, not perfection. Alignment. It means your actions, your thoughts, and what you know to be true begin to point the same direction instead of pulling 3 ways at once. That is where the exhaustion has been coming from, not the work, the division. When you are aligned, things move differently. Effort still costs you, but it stops costing you everything. Decisions come faster because you are no longer arguing with yourself before every one of them. You will feel it as a lightness, and you will want to explain it, and you will not be able to. Let it be unexplained. Not everything I give you has to be understood to be enjoyed. Now, some practical words, because I am not a god of vague comfort. Guard your first waking hour. That is when you are most open and most easily set on a course for the whole day. Do not let the first voice you hear be a worried one. Let it be mine. Be careful what you give your ears to in the days ahead. You will be tempted to keep company with talk that leaves you heavier than it found you. There are conversations that hollow a person out, and you can feel it happening while it happens. Step back from them. You are not being unkind. You are protecting something that has just begun to grow. And speak carefully over your own life. You have a habit of saying small, hopeless things about yourself in a joking voice. Stop it. Those words are not harmless just because you laughed while you said them. Your mouth has more authority over your days than you have ever credited it with. Here is what I am doing, and it is already underway. I am closing what has been draining you and opening what has been sealed. I am moving people toward you who will not need to be convinced of your worth, and moving others out of your path who required constant convincing. I am strengthening your body where it has been carrying too much for too long. I am steadying your mind where the same fear has been running the same circuit for years. I am restoring what has been taken from you. Not always in the form it left. Sometimes something better arrives wearing a different name. and you must be willing to receive it that way rather than insisting on the exact shape of what you lost. I am blessing the work of your hands. What you build in this season will hold. What you plant in this season will come up. The effort you have been pouring out with so little visible return is not vanishing into the ground. It is being stored, and the storehouse has your name on it. I am placing favor on you in rooms you will never enter. Decisions will go your way for reasons you will never learn. Someone will speak well of you when you are not present, and it will change something you did not know needed changing. And I am setting a guard about the ones you love. The people you carry in prayer are not outside my reach simply because they are outside your reach. Where you cannot go, I go. Where your influence ends, mine does not. You may release them into my hands without releasing them into danger. Do not go back to sleep after this. That is the only real risk. Not that you will fail, but that in a week you will let all of it fade into the ordinary hum of your life and carry on exactly as before. That would be the true loss, and it would not be my doing. So take one thing from what I have said and act on it before the day ends. One thing. The step you have been avoiding, or the burden you have been asked to set down, or the small opportunity you were going to decline. Do not attempt all of it. Do the one. Obedience in one small matter opens more than agreement with all of it. And when you have done it, do not wait to feel triumphant. The feeling often comes days after the act, if it comes at all. Faithfulness is mostly quiet. It looks like an ordinary person doing an unremarkable thing because they were asked to, on a day when nothing about it felt significant. I want you to hear one more thing before my voice grows quiet again. You have wondered in your lowest hours whether you actually matter to me. Whether you are one of the ones I know by name or simply part of a great crowd I love in general. Let that question end today. I do not love in general. There is no such thing. You are known to me in specific detail, down to the fear you have never named out loud and the hope you gave up defending years ago. I am not tired of you. You have imagined me sighing over you, keeping a record of your failures, waiting for you to finally get it right. That is not who I am, and it never was. I've been calling you all this time not out of frustration but because I want you close, and I have not been willing to let the distance stand. So come back. Not with a perfect explanation, not with your life already tidied up. Come as you are in the middle of the unfinished thing, with the questions still open and your hands still shaking. That is exactly how I have always received the people I love most. The pressure you have been carrying in your chest was me. Now you know. Let it become something else. Let it become a door. Say your amen now and let it be the first word of everything that follows.
We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.